So Spider-Man and Star-Lord go on a road trip. Onward. This is the latest Pixar movie that came out. It stars Chris Pratt as Barley and then Tom Holland as Ian, and they're brothers. And they basically go on a quest to basically be able to say goodbye to their dad, that there's a spell that allows their dad to become alive for one day, but of course it gets messed up, so all they have is the dad's pants and his legs, which becomes a running gag, which is quite funny, but it also adds this element of gravitas to the movie because you are able to get a sense of this dad, who he is, but also feel his loss at the same time. He passed away from an illness before Ian was even born, so Ian never met him, and Barley has only a few memories of him. That part of it is great. The brotherly dynamic is great. The world building could use a little more help. The movie does feel a little bit boring at times because what they're trying to do is mush all these fantasy elements into one movie. So you're like, oh, that's the Lord of the Rings scene. Okay, that's the Narnia scene. They have centaurs and fawns. Oh, that's the Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, that's Harry Potter. Oh, that's this. So because they're trying to mix all these things together, it does take away some of this original feel that you might otherwise have, by which I mean it kind of feels like leftovers. And some of it's like, ooh, this still really feels good. It tastes good second time around. But other times you're like, this definitely feels like kind of leftover French fries where it doesn't reheat as well. The transitions from one scene to another, like, okay, now we're here, and now we're here on this part of the quest, and it just feels like checking boxes. So the flow of the movie is choppy. Like, okay, we've got this fantasy element, we've got this fantasy element, we've got this fantasy element. And it didn't do as well as people were expecting. That is partly because of people aren't going to the movie theaters with fear of the coronavirus. However, it does lack some of the depth of other Pixar movies, even though the brotherly dynamic is just so sweet. And Tom Holland and Chris Pratt do a great job. But I think that they should have just committed more to the world rather than kind of cheekily going, oh yeah, do you recognize this fantasy element? Oh yeah, this one too. I would say it's worth watching as a matinee or on streaming, but you're not missing much if you don't see it in theaters, because even the animation, it's not like anything you haven't seen before. Voice talent all does a good job, but I think they were stuck in a little bit of a clunky script. But again, enjoyed on streaming, and it might be, if you have a great relationship with a sibling, a good one to see as like a family movie night with your siblings, to just kind of enjoy this journey to say, oh yeah, we have our rough patches, but you've always been there for me. And that was a great takeaway. So a good movie, but not a great movie. Onward.